Testing. There we go. Good evening, everyone. We are delighted that you've taken time to be with us this evening. My name is Kiara Suggs. I'm the chair of the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce, the largest business organization in Fort Bend County, representing over 1,000 business organizations, over 5,000 individuals, and over 200,000 jobs. We advocate, we elevate, and lead in the region to make Fort Bend County the premium destination to live, work, and play. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Stafford Candidates Forum for Stafford City Council Position 1 and 2 and Stafford MSD School Board Positions 1 and 2. And thank you all for joining us via Facebook Live and Stafford ME-TV. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator for this forum, Mr. Christopher Breaux, Fort Bend Chamber Government Relations Chair. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. We appreciate that. We welcome everyone to, downtown Stafford Municipal School District in the administration building here. Thank you for joining us for the Stafford's Candidate Forum, and thank you for everyone joining us on Facebook Live and Stafford ME-TV. At this time, I'd like to ask our candidates running for the Stafford MSD School Board to please join me on stage. We have Clint Mendonca, position 1. Joyce Wilkins, running for position 1. We have Manuel Inihosa, running for position 2. And Janelle Kelly, running for position 2, could not join us this evening. We have a format for this evening. We're going to start out with a 1-minute opening statement from each of the candidates. And then you'll have 2 minutes to answer each question, and then we'll end up with a 1-minute closing statement. Candidates will receive a 1-minute reminder, a 30-second reminder, a 10-second reminder, and a time to just stop talking. If you have any questions you'd like to ask in the audience, please write them down. There's a basket right over here. We have someone collecting those. You can submit them via Facebook Live as well, and we'll answer as many questions as we can given the time. So now we're going to start with opening statements, and Clint, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you. Good evening. First of all, thank you to the Fort Bend Chamber and everyone making this event possible. I'm Clint Mendonca, and I'm running for position 1. Many of you have already seen me before and are familiar with my goals. I stand for school safety, maximizing fiscal responsibility, and putting our Stafford students first. I serve on the City Planning and Zoning Commission, where I'm currently the secretary of the commission. I also serve on the Juneteenth Committee, the Parent Engagement Committee here at SMSD, and the Community Center Oversight Committee. In recent years, our district has come a long way with the introduction of the STEM Magnet Campus, record numbers of students graduating with associate's degrees, and success across several programs. My intention remains to utilize my expertise to help our district in all ways to find the best solutions possible for our students in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Clint. Joyce.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me. My name is Joyce Wilkins, and I'm running for Stafford School Board Position 1. I'm a proud parent of 4 children in the district. As a passionate advocate for student success, I believe in transparency and operational efficiency to drive our schools forward. Stafford already has an incredible achievements in academics, fine arts, robotics, and athletics. My goal is to enhance the strengths, ensuring every student has access to a well-rounded education that prepares them for the future. I'm committed to working with my parents, my teachers, and my community to uphold the excellence Stafford is known for and foster an environment where every student can thrive. Together, we can build on great things happening in Stafford schools and create an even brighter future for our students. Thank you, and vote for Joyce Wilkins.
Thank you, ma'am. Manuel.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Manuel Hinojosa. I've been on the school board for the last 9 years. This will be my 4th term. Over the last 9 years, we've accomplished many great things. The previous bond, the STEM Magnet Academy, the Early Childhood Center. There's been a lot of accomplishments. There's also been a lot of challenges over that time span. We overcame COVID. We've overcome some other adversities, challenges with finances, etc. I look to continue to serve with the public's blessing, to continue to finish the job that we set out to do, to serve our community, to serve our students, and to create the best environment for our students to be successful in the global economy. And that's why I'm here this evening, and hopefully, God willing, we'll be able to continue to serve.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your opening statements. We're going to now begin with our timed questions. And I'm going to start off, Manuel, with you. What compelled you to run again for this position? Is there a particular issue that concerns you or motivates you to serve on the board?
Thank you. What compelled me to run? Great question. Actually, I am a product of SMSD. So SMSD made me run, or compelled me to run. I was privileged to have a great education that started here in this community. A small town, a small close-knit community. I've been fortunate to be very successful in my professional endeavors. I am currently a healthcare executive in the Texas Medical Center, and I owe all of that success to the education and the foundation that I received while going to school here at SMSD. There were many individuals that inspired me before. Some of them are sitting here in this room tonight, that were mentors, that were in board leadership positions at the time. And what inspired me is I wanted to give back to my community, not only for my children, but for other children that were, in those kind of situations that I found myself in. So that's why it motivated me to run. And over that time, I've, tackled other challenges that helps me continue to be engaged and wanting to run.
Well, thank you very much. I want to ask the candidates to speak up a little bit so we can hear in the back of the room. I believe the expression is to use your cafeteria voice because the microphones are picking up for Facebook Live, but they're not necessarily picking up for the here. So, Joyce, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Well, like I said, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I have 4 kids in the district, age range from 3 to 13. I'm vested. What I want to bring is fresh ideas and common sense solutions to address some of the district's challenges that I've seen. Stafford MSD is already recognized as a good district, but my vision, how can we make it Stafford MSD 2.0? We have great parents, we have great business partners that we can tap into, and we can take Stafford to the next level. I'm thinking about the next 10 years for our sweeties. And so with your help, I can do those things. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Clint, same question.
Just like I've said the previous 2 times I've run for office, my primary reason for running is because my future children are going to this district, and I need these campuses to be the best that they can be for my future kids and for all of the students currently attending. I wasn't planning on running in 2024. I was planning on endorsing Dawn Reichling for re-election after she won this very position 3 years ago, and I lost. But she did an incredible job pushing for fiscal transparency, pushing for special education accommodations, pushing for improvements that made this district even better than it was 3 years ago. Unfortunately, she had to step down, and I'm looking to pick up the torch where she left, continue on those paths. And over the course of those 3 years, we've also encountered a few problems as a district, not unique to Stafford, but things that every school district is dealing with. The state of Texas is currently fighting over school funding. Public schools are in the crosshairs. We need people with strong fiscal acumen to get up there and make those budget decisions, make those difficult choices that benefit all of our students, that benefit our entire community. I've worked in banking and financial services for the past 14 years. I've worked with large businesses, small businesses, individuals. It's different in every environment. I've worked with nonprofits as well, which is probably the closest to a government entity. But in terms of that, you've got to work with limited resources. You've got to make every dollar count. You've got to find strategic partnerships. And those are the things I'm aiming to do to help this district move forward.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Joyce, what are the responsibilities of a school trustee?
The responsibilities first is to determine the employment of the superintendent. Second, to approve the budget. And third, to create policy and ensure that the superintendent enforces the policy. As a trustee, I will also make recommendations and suggestions to programming, resources, and opportunities that's going to help our district to be better. So whatever parent engagement opportunities, anything that can elevate and support our district, that's what I will do.
Thank you. Manuel, as an incumbent member, anything to add to that on the duties of the trustee?
Yeah, I think that, in the term trustee, we're entrusted. We are keepers of that trust for the community. In addition to the items that Ms. Wilkins mentioned, our role is governance. And we set policy, we set direction, we set a strategic vision. One of the key things that we do as a board is do a strategic plan and set goals. Everything is based on inputs and outputs, and we're measured on outputs. And then you can have a debate on the efficacy of that, et cetera. But at the end of the day, our role is to set that governance and that structure. Yes, we hire a superintendent. Yes, we set a budget. Stafford Municipal School District is unique because we're the only municipal school district in the state, and we have a close-knit partnership with our city council members as well. So we work jointly, and at the end of the day, the effort is really to educate our students and provide the best education, and then to do that in a safe environment. So that's our role.
Thank you, sir. I like to tell people wherever I go that Stafford Municipal School District is the best municipal school district in the state of Texas. Clint, let me popcorn back to you here. So this is a volunteer and unpaid position. Everyone knows that, right? Okay, good. All right. You're aware in many cases you may have to use your own funds to attend a conference or training. If so, are you willing to do that?
Yes, of course. I do that already. So some of you may know I volunteer extensively with the Knights of Columbus and several other nonprofit organizations. We have state, we have regional, we have national conferences, and sometimes the only way to go is to pay out of pocket. Whenever the school sends our school counselors to the Texas School Counselors Association, I attend with my wife at my own expense. I don't sit through the sessions because I'm not a school counselor. But I go around to the booths. I go and pick up meals and things. I support the efforts that our school counselors are doing. I'll go pick up lunch for our counselors and drop it off to them so they don't have to miss a session while the other counselors, I've got 30 minutes to make a decision. Do I go to this next session or do I eat? I'm happy to use my own resources to benefit this district. I've been contributing and volunteering since I got here 7 years ago, and I intend to continue doing so every step of the way.
Thank you very much. Joyce, how many hours would you be able to dedicate weekly to your board service?
Well, I'm fortunate. That's my superpower because I have all the time in the world. That's what I do now. Volunteering is something that is my foundation. As PTO president for the last 3 years, I think I'm right now with the highest hours of volunteer hours, and using my own resources to benefit the school in any way possible, helping teachers, helping staff. That's just what we do. That's what I do. Yes.
Well, give me a number. Tell me what you think, and I don't mean to press on you too hard, but different from being a PTO president, chair. What do you think the time commitment is? What do you have dialed in?
I would dial in the hours of any workday. So I would say 8 hours a day.
Okay. Clint, same question.
I would say my number would definitely be a little bit less. I am a working professional. I do manage a bank. I do have to be there 9 to 5 most days. But the good thing is my bank does allow for opportunities to get out into the community and volunteer. I know during budget time, that's going to be a lot more intensive. When we've got meetings, when we've got ceremonies, when we've got on-campus events, I'm going to have to block that time and be here. So in an average week, I might be able to spare 8 or 10 hours for the district. On a week where it's required to be more, maybe 20 or 25 hours, I'll make that time. As long as I have advance notice, I can make the arrangements. That's the benefit of being the manager. You kind of get to schedule everyone else around you. But within reason, I'm going to be here as much as possible whenever needed.
All right, thank you. Manuel is a nine-year veteran of the board. What does that hour commitment look like?
I'll tell you, that's a great question. There's a lot of hours. And there's been times throughout that tenure that those hours would be north of that 20-hour mark. When you're a trustee and when you are a board member, in my role currently as board president, it almost feels like you're never disconnected. I work in healthcare and I have a 40-hour job, but I am on call and I am available 24 hours a day, 365 days, because that's the nature of the business that I'm in. When you're doing service, there's a lot of hours, there's a lot of commitment, and there's a lot of sacrifices to family. We do spend time away from family to do training and travel. During budget season, those hours are very long. The good thing about that is we're able to spend some of those hours doing the things in our district, in our community with our kids. And that's why when you have kids in the district, that's an important piece, because you get that 2-for-1, because you're there supporting your kids, but you're also supporting every other of the 3,000 plus kids that we have. So it's a difficult question to answer, but I would say that on many occasions I've worked or been involved with school board related stuff more than 25 hours a week.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a lot of hours, and sounds like all of you will be super dedicated to this. Let me, and I always like to tell people that when you're running for school board, remember that you're dealing with the two things that people love the most: their children and their money, and not necessarily in that order. Speaking of which, Manuel, I'm going to go to you. What is your stance on the proposed $60 million school bond?
What is my stance on the proposed $60 million school bond? I'll tell you, I need to navigate that carefully because there's some guidelines and laws related to that. I think the $60 million bond was created. It started off with our 2030 plus vision that included our administrative team, included our teachers, and included community members, and it was geared towards positioning Stafford for the next 30 years. One of the things that we talked about is we wanted to come back, like some of our current members that are here in the audience have come back, 30 years from now, and ensure that SMSD was still vibrant and viable and successful. So there's certain things that need to happen in order to do that. And so that bond, that money goes towards accomplishing that. I can tell you that not, as a citizen, as a individual voter, I'll leave it at that.
That's fair enough. Clint, I'm going to ask you the same question.
I'm in the middle of the road when it comes to the bond. If you look at the ballot, you'll actually see that it's in two parts. One is 15 million, one's 45 million. You can find sample ballots on fortbendvotes.com. The items that the bond is for are very much needed. I'm not going to deny that. We need the upgrades to technology. We need the upgrades to security. We need to plan for the future of this district. My concern, as I shared at the city council meeting, you can go pull the video off the city website, I'm not sure the bond necessarily goes far enough in some respects. Councilman and Teacher Wood brought up a lot of other things that the district is going to need in the near future. And we just passed a bond a few years ago. We just passed Vatry. We've got another one on this ballot. What happens when the next bond comes through? How many things do we leave off and then need another bond? And at what point are the voters going to say, we're bonded out, we're done? We've got a benefit of an opportunity here where the state has lowered property tax for so many residents. Pretty much everyone's benefited from the tax cuts back in November. So we have a little bit of leeway to work with, but eventually that tax cut is either going to get erased or become the norm, and people aren't going to want to see those increases. So as someone looking for the best interest of the district, I think this is the right thing. As a taxpayer, I'm not particularly excited because I see an opportunity for another bond very soon, and I hope that we have the social capital, the equity with our voters, that if that is necessary, we can get that one passed as well.
All right, thank you, sir. Joyce.
If we're trying to take Stafford to the next level, I think bonds are necessary, they're important. Being visible on the campuses, they need upgrades. They need upgrades to the technology and the renovations to the buildings, security, maintenance. They're very important. But with any public funding, any kind of money of that, school board members need to be responsible and be transparent with the bonds, with any kind of money. That would include regularly communicating with you about what's going on at every level that the bond is being spent. There's no such thing as too much communication about where the money's going. And I feel confident in this bond that it will take Stafford to the next level, Stafford 2.0. Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Let me, Joyce, I'm going to go back to you on this. How about that? Share your thoughts with us on the purpose of regional and state school board associations, such as the Gulf Coast Association of School Boards and the Texas Association of School Boards. What do you
I think they're needed. I think any kind of association that can benefit an organization, I'm all for it. I've gone to state level association. I'm a part of some state level association and nationals, and any kind of new resources that they can give to you, learn from it, I'm all for it. So they're much needed.
Manuel, same question.
Well, I've had the privilege of being on the board for 9 years, and a lot of the things that I know now I didn't know when I was running for school board 9 years ago. There's a lot of nuances related to governance and laws and things you can do and can't do, and so there are some going back to the question about the bonds. As a district, our boards have lowered taxes for our taxpayers year over year for many years. And one of the reasons we're able to do a bond proposal without impacting taxpayer is because we've been good stewards of those dollars. Going back to your question, I think they're very critical and important because it allows trustees to network and also learn all of these various nuances that are related to school governance and the ever-changing legislature and laws. And those associations provide that. And they also provide training so that we can become better trustees and understand the differences between governance and operations. And our role is not operations, it's governance, setting policy, setting the strategic vision of our district, and also holding our one employee accountable for the outputs related to the inputs that we've provided as a community.
Thank you. And Clint, I'm going to run that same question by you, and I'm going to add a little twist to it here. Everyone can join in on this in a bit. TASB is the organization we're talking about. Like many organizations at the state level, they do a lot of advocacy with the legislature. All right, and there's some argument there. Well, that's lobbying, and they're lobbying for school boards and such. Kind of talk about this, about the state board and that idea that they're lobbying. What are we doing there?
Sure. Well, let me start with the first question, which TASB, the Gulf Coast Association, the Mexican Association of School Board, that was one that former trustee Longoria asked me if I was willing to join if I got on the school board, and I told him I'm not Mexican American, but if they'll take me, sure. I'm going to use any resource to make myself better. When it comes to learning, when it comes to attaining training sessions, seminars, conferences, we talked about doing it at your own expense. Yes, I will, because that's the only way to get better. Building networking, building connections. I was reading just earlier today about how Waco and Academy ISD have introduced interventions that have helped drive up scores and drive up achievements to kind of breach that gap and cover the students, bring them back to where they should have been pre-pandemic. How did they do that? The easiest way is to know people from these districts and to get together with them and find out what was implemented and how we can adapt or replicate that here. I think that TASB does do what could be construed as lobbying, but there's a fine line between issue-based advocacy and lobbying, and I think TASB very carefully stays on issue-based advocacy. There are things that, like Robin Hood. No one in Stafford likes the Robin Hood program because it takes from our property-rich district and gives it to other districts. TASB has to be very careful about touching that because they'll appease one district by talking about it and upset the others. So they have to be very careful about what they do. One way or another, we do need to get in front of our elected representatives. We do need to advocate for our students. We do need to advocate for funding. And if TASB is going to be a resource for that, I'm going to get involved with that.
All right, thank you. Any comments on that? Anyone want to jump in on that?
I would just say that there's a lot of groups that are lobbying and advocating for special interests and many things in Austin every day. Okay, let's just be clear that happens. I think that TASB provides a platform to address issues that are important to public education and address issues that are important to educating our students. And they're advocating for public education. They're advocating for those things that are important to our communities and for our students. So, it's a fine line, but at the end of the day, if somebody is not advocating for our students, this is part of what we do is advocacy as well. We advocate for our communities, we advocate for our students, and everybody is looking to get the limited resources that are available. And we understand that those resources come from our taxpayers. And that is not something that goes or taken lightly, because that's how our country is run. So we have to be very careful. But I think TASB provides a lot of resources to school districts to help to handle and navigate through issues that come up.
Thank you. Joyce, any thoughts?
I'm for it. We'll be learning from the experts, so anything that can make us be better, I'm for it.
Great, thank you. Clint, I'm going to jump back to you again, unless I'm picking on you. If I'm not, we'll keep going here. It's all right. What's your stance on out-of-district children attending Stafford School District?
Yes and no. There are plenty of reasons why out-of-district students should want to come to Stafford. The STEM Magnet Academy is one of them. That's the whole point of a magnet school, to pull in students. There are other reasons where maybe siblings are split in their household, living with two different parents, and they want to attend the same school. Or they want to be part of where their parent works, and it's easier for that teacher, that counselor, that whoever to bring that kid and drop them off at a campus right around the corner from their office. It makes sense. I do not think that we should be going out and trying to recruit students for any other purpose. We shouldn't be doing it to fill seats in classrooms. We shouldn't be doing it to pad sports teams. We should be doing it for the benefit of those individuals who need it. We've developed a reputation among some of the neighboring school districts that, you've got a problem child, Stafford will take them. And that's resources, those are taxpayers in a different district not covering those kids, and our Stafford taxpayer dollars are going to make sure that those kids are accommodated. Those kids deserve accommodation, but they should be accommodated by the districts that they're zoned to. We need to be focused on Stafford students first. We need to be putting our Stafford students first. We need to be getting back to the original plan for this district, which was to have small class sizes and increased focused, more personalized education for all of our students. And I think that too much open enrollment has taken away from that. Now we've got classes that are 30, 35 students, and it's gotten too far away from where we need it to be. Thank you.
All right. Joy, same question.
Thank you. Well, everyone wants to come to Stafford. As PTO president, I talk to parents all the time, and they're trying their hardest to get in Stafford. They want their kids to get that associate's, graduating with that associate's degree. Stafford, like I said, is great. Everyone wants to come. Should out-of-district kids have maybe a stricter, in-house kind of application? Maybe. Just to check for behaviors, things like that. We still want to make Stafford, keep Stafford great in all areas. And if you want to come here, then you do have to meet the qualifications as well.
Thank you. Manuel, same question.
And that's been a question that's been around for many years, going back to when I first ran for school board. When I was a student here, we were a closed district. We were a small 2A, and it was great. I told you I benefited from a great education. The passage of the Robin Hood legislature that changed, some of that funding, started to change that, and that happened years ago, right? So, we're in a different spot. Some of the comments that have been made, there are laws and rules that dictate what you can and can't look at. Going back to when I first started, that was a pressing issue for our community. One of the things that we accomplished that we created a district of innovation that allowed us some flexibility and put some structure in those acceptance criteria. So over those last 9 years, those things and those comments that were made are anecdotal and they're historical. What we need to focus on is the here and now and where we're headed. There is a lot of strict criteria on the acceptance of students. So we're already looking at that. I think that our campus right now, frankly, if we didn't have out-of-district students, we wouldn't have a STEM Magnet Academy. By having a STEM Magnet Academy, a lot of those students are out-of-district kids. We have strict criteria, and that was done intentionally. That was purposefully. When we were doing our strategic plan, one of the things that we have to take a step back as a board and decide is who are we and who do we want to be, right? And we're not going to be chasing Robin Hood. We can't do that. Trying to outpace recapture by continues to increase enrollment. That's not who we are. We have to figure that as a board and decide who we are and then rally around that. And it is going to include out-of-district kids, but it also has to focus on our students here in Stafford and bringing those students that are going elsewhere back because we have an attractive school district.
All right. Manuel, I'm gonna throw this next question to you, and I get to ask this all the time. My kids are grown. They're out of school. I've got no kids in Stafford MSD. Okay. It's really a two-part question. Why should I care about Stafford MSD? And why should I vote for you if I don't have any kids in Stafford MSD?
Well, the first part is the most fundamental. Why should you care? You should care because you're a member of our community, and as community, part of our civic responsibility is to be engaged in the things that affect our community. And school district, the viability of a school district in any community is the driving force of what attracts new people into your community. They want to buy homes. It maintains property values. It maintains many things that are attractive. There's a lot of studies that suggest in areas where there are bad school districts, people leave the neighborhoods become depleted, and so it's very important whether you have students in your school district or not, because you have property values, you live in the community. Having a school district that's safe, where students are learning, creates engaged students. Crime rates are lower. There's a lot of factors. And so what was the second part? Why should
they vote? Why should I vote for you, given that I have no kids in the district?
For the same reason, because you should be engaged.
Very good. Joyce, let me ask you a question. Stafford STEM, someone from the audience has this. Stafford STEM Magnet Academy recently was recognized as one of the top performing schools in the region. And yet the elementary school was towards the bottom of the list. How can you ensure that all of Stafford students are receiving a top-notch education?
We're going to look at STEM. STEM is an A-rated school, and elementary right now is a C-rated school. So what I would do, I would talk with STEM's directors and principals and sit down, and also bring in some of the community to sit down and see how we can mirror what STEM is doing, because they're doing it right. They're A-rated. And so whatever they suggest, I'll take it in consideration, just involving more of the parents and the community and the business in that aspect. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Clint, same question.
I'm actually very curious who wrote that question, because I have notes to talk about that, almost verbatim to the way the question was written.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. Someone and I are clearly on the same page in this room. But I would say that is actually one of the reasons I'm up here running for school board. My wife and I have sat down and talked. She's a counselor at the middle school. What are we going to do when we have kids? Where are our kids going to go? Are we comfortable sending them to the elementary school with how the elementary school has been performing? Do we have to look at private school for a few years? What if our kid is not STEM, doesn't have an affinity for STEM related topics? Maybe they're more into history or English or another field, and math or science is just not their strong point. My future kids and every single student currently enrolled at that campus deserve the best education possible. It can't be restricted to just those kids who make it into the STEM Magnet Academy. So I want to look at a lot of different things. What are we doing that is working? What are we doing that's not working? We cannot replicate what works with a small 30-person class across hundreds and hundreds of elementary schoolers that may not have the same skill sets, that may not have the same affinities and competencies. And we need to meet those kids where they are with better lessons. We need to figure out where the gaps in learning are, and we need to implement the right interventions to get them where they need to be. Because if these kids are struggling with basic math, basic English, basic reading, those problems are going to compound as we get further up the chain. Those are the fundamental things that these kids need to learn, and if for some reason something's missing, that's just going to start making its way up into the middle school and high school in future years. So that's where I would expect the superintendent and the administration to put a huge focus in the years to come to help bring that up from a C to at least a B, if not our goal of having every campus be an A.
Well, speaking of C's and B's and A's, what's your opinion on the STAR exam and the A through F ratings by the TEA?
Is that coming to me?
That's coming to you.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, sir.
I am not a fan of the revisions to the STAR exam. I don't know how much y'all have been keeping up with that, but we've switched to an entirely electronic format, which, you know, it is the future, and we are technologically equipped to have every student do that. But the one thing that alarmed me the most out of the news stories coming out is Texas is looking at having AI grade the written assignments. That doesn't sit well with me. If AI writing the essay is cheating, AI grading the essay is cheating to me. It's the state being a bit hypocritical. So, unfortunately, I don't know anyone who likes STAR. I don't know a student, I don't know a teacher, I don't know the CTCs, maybe Dr. Almas, I don't know. But I don't know anyone who likes STAR, but we're stuck with it. We've got to lobby the state. We've got to speak with TEA. We've got to maybe get TASB lobbying if we have to make sure that the STAR is working for our students. We need to make sure also that our teachers are equipped not to have to teach to the test to try to get them from that C star rating to that B star rating. Last week, I was proud to see that all of our campuses were out and about with their eclipse glasses, taking a look at the partial eclipse that we were able to see from our parking lots, from our green spaces. That is putting applied science. That is showing them how to use what they're learning in the classroom. That makes them more interested, that makes students more engaged, that makes them want to learn. Are we going to have an eclipse every year? Of course not. But can we find other ways to make math and English and everything more real? Yes, and I intend to do what we can to help bring those programs like Junior Achievement, to bring real math solutions and budgeting back to Stafford so we can use that to the benefit of our students.
All right, thank you. Joyce, same question. What's your opinion on the STAR exam, the A through F ratings established by the TEA?
Kind of puts me in the middle. With STAR, I would like to make sure that the teachers have access to the high quality instructional materials and resources to help the kids learn how to take it. Some of the kids and some of the parents have told me that the teaching doesn't align up with the test. And so if we can bridge both together, I think we could really shoot numbers, high scores instead of C's and B's. We can get some A's in there if everyone's doing the same thing and everything's being bridged together. Yes.
A through F rating?
Yeah.
Very good. Manuel, let me ask a question. What do we think we can do to support our teachers, keep them hired, and pay competitive wages?
Just curious, I don't get to answer or comment on those
You
questions.
can answer any question you like, actually. You can.
Well, so a couple of things.
No, if you want to
So,
answer
guys,
that question, go ahead.
I just, those are great points. I just want to say that, the STAR test is a tool. We live in a society where, there has to be a way to check performance. The problem with any tool is if you use it as a sole mechanism to label somebody, in this case students, I think you're doing a disservice. At the end of the day, we're tasked with educating the next generation, right? And many students learn in different ways. So we have the STAR test. It's a tool. It's one tool. Unfortunately, the media and, through, you mentioned lobbyists and organizations, they've weaponized that tool to label, schools as poor performers or what have you. There are many things that go into educating students. So I just want to say that we should look at it as a tool, not the only tool. Whether or not a student gets an F doesn't make them less worthy of education. So it's a tool. Going back to the other thing related to the STEM Academy, because I didn't get a chance to answer that, I just want to highlight the fact that it's not a STEM Academy versus, at the end of the day, every single one of our students are Spartans. Last I checked, the students in the STEM Academy were Spartans, just like the elementary school students. One of the things that we did very strategically when we did our previous bond is we made a fundamental commitment to starting off with our ECC at six months of age. So we have students there that have been with Stafford 6 months of age at affordable daycare. We're building that student base early on, and we're capturing them. We're not, in our STEM Magnet Academy has strategically and through the direction of the board created STEM zones all over our campuses. So we're not isolating the STEM Magnet Academy from everybody else. They're an integral part, but the things that they're learning, everybody else has access to. So I just want to make sure that was clear. I apologize, but I didn't get a chance to, so.
Okay, well, let me hit you with this question.
All right.
What are your positions on vouchers?
again, we're tasked with educating, students. I think vouchers create mechanisms that take money from public schools into private schools. And so it just makes our job a little bit harder to accomplish what we need to do. But at the end of the day, we still have a task of educating our students. We're in a unique situation because we are a public school district in a private school setting. If you look at our school district, it's almost like a private school, and that's one of the things that we're trying to create. So if vouchers were to happen, I'm sure that we would get some of those students that wanted to come to SMSD. But I think broad picture, not every student that has that voucher, whatever that target is, that money is not going to be enough to pay their semester tuition at private school. So at the end of the day, what are we doing as citizens? Our task is to educate the next generation. So we should be doing that and being good stewards of our public tax dollars.
Thank you. Joyce, what is your position on vouchers?
It takes money away from public schools, so I'm completely against it. Public school is what made me, and so, like I said, I have 4 kids in the district, and so I want the best for the kids, all kids, and taking the money away from the kids when they can't afford private and things of that nature. Stafford has been, like Mr. Hinojosa said, a public in a private setting, and that's why we're such a small community, and it has that family feel. Yes, so I am definitely against it.
Okay, all right. Clint, I ask you the same question.
I would be somewhat hypocritical if I said I was 100% against vouchers. The reason being is I'm partially a product of private school. I went to straight Jesuit, and I can tell you right now, even back then, 20 plus years ago, what they're allocating for the vouchers now would not have paid for tuition back then, much less with inflation and increases and everything else. So I can understand where there are people who want that. It would have made it much more affordable for my family. But realistically, the way that we got to pay for private school was financial aid. It was the grants and scholarships and things that were available. That's what's available for private schools that public schools don't have access to. I agree with what both of them said. Any voucher program passed is going to negatively impact public schools by taking away funds. This is unfortunately a zero-sum game. We don't have a way to create additional revenue for public schools if you start taking some of that and putting it into a voucher program. It's not how the system works. So I can't say I'm 100% against vouchers, but I am generally speaking against the voucher program because it's not what's best for our students, it's not what's best for our community, it's not what's best for our schools right now.
Thank you. Ms. Joyce, were there any bills that were considered or passed in the last legislature that you support or that concern you?
Let's see. I would say, drawing a blank on that one. Yes, I'm sorry.
Manuel, I'll point to you then.
The one that concerned me the most was the vouchers. I mean, I think that if you follow the news, unfortunately, it was used as a weapon to, drive an agenda. And if you recall, it led to multiple special sessions to try to get to an agreement for that. So that's one that keeps coming up, and it will probably be coming up in the next legislative session in a variety of of manners. So that's one that's concerning. But the other ones that are concerning is the ones that are related to safety. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times there's these mandates for security because of the events that have happened, and rightfully so. But I get concerned when too much focus is based on the dealing with sort of the outcomes versus of really focusing in on the things that lead up to those tragic events. We have led two times a regional workshop put on by the Secret Service of the FBI twice, and we put that on with the city of Stafford to benefit many of our partners around the region. And at every time there were many warning signs that led up to these events. So I would like, instead of focusing on hard stops like extra police officers or locking down this or that, we should invest more money on the things that are social things that can lead to prevention and awareness and identification of those things like bullying and social cyberbullying and those kind of things that I think will be more impactful and more beneficial in the long run.
Okay. All right. Clint, let's go to a hot topic issue for excitement here. What's your position on banning books?
I think that banning books outright is a bad idea. I do maintain that certain topics are more age appropriate than others. That doesn't mean that they should be outright banned, but they might be better reserved for when those children are of an age when they can address those topics with a greater sense of maturity, a greater sense of understanding. I'm not sure that books on sexuality, for example, should necessarily be in our elementary school library. But those topics do need to be addressed in certain ways because you are going to have kids who are struggling with either things that are happening at home or things that are happening at school or things that are happening in themselves. Unfortunately, kids are developing a lot younger biologically. They're maturing, they're hitting puberty at earlier ages, and we need to be prepared to have those conversations, but I'm not saying all of those things need to be addressed. I've looked through several of the books on the banned books list that I learned in school, and I was shocked to see things like To Kill a Mockingbird is on that list. It never dawned on me that there was any problem because when I was in middle school, we read that book, and I can't tell you which grade, but I remember reading that book. I remember having that discussion in class. I remember taking that test and barely making an A on it. But going through that, I think that there are a lot of difficult topics that we need to closely evaluate, but I don't think that banning books outright is the right solution. I think that age-appropriate libraries on each of our campuses with the right content for each age group is the way to go.
Okay. Well, great. I was about to say, you and I are a lot alike, except you said barely making an A, and I just didn't make an A, so that's another topic altogether. Joyce, same question. What about banning? Talk to me about banning books. What's your position?
I'm not supportive in banning books, but I know that they've shaped history. They, can create issues and things like that. So I do believe that the community, parents, and the superintendent should have a hand in selecting what kind of books come into the library and what kind of books are exposed to our kids. A lot of parents want to keep their kids innocent, and they feel that they may want to expose kids when they're ready, and I believe that a parent should have that right to do that. This would be a great topic issue for all of us to come together and come up with a good solution.
All right. Manuel?
Well, this is another example of a hot topic item that tends to through social media and what have you pit two sides on two extremes, right? And I think that there's a common ground in between. I don't necessarily think that banning anything, and particularly books, is the right way to go. I do think there are processes in place to appropriately select, vet, and where appropriate, select material that is conducive to educating our youth. And I think that the parents need to be involved in that process. And but I think it's another one of those things where it's more sexy to put everybody to be fighting at each other, And I think if we start to think about more, how do we come together and get to win-wins and establish common grounds, what we'll realize is that we're more alike in a lot of these issues than what you would think we are. And so I think there's probably a middle ground in there that involves responsible material that is age appropriate, that accomplishes the task. And I remember reading, To Kill a Mockingbird. It's one of my favorite books as well.
Okay. So you're saying it's not necessarily the loudest person with the microphone?
What's that?
It's not necessarily the loudest person with the microphone to make those decisions. Okay. Well, so as the tenured board member, I've got a math question from the audience.
Math question. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That was my worst subject.
Okay, well, it's really not that bad. We had a fund balance of more than $13 million 8 years ago. Is it okay to use bond money to build back up that fund balance because it's less than $2 million now?
Couple of things. True, we had a significant amount in bond money in fund balance several years. That's one of the reasons why you do that. There's a strategy to have money there. It's like a savings account. The question that you asked specifically is it okay to use bond money to pay back, or to build back up? That's a misunderstanding of what the purpose is. Bond funds can only be used to address operational type issues or buildings or specific things. One of the things that this particular bond does, it allows us to capitalize items that we're currently expensing through Operation M&O funds that we could capitalize over a 15, 20, 30-year period. So by doing that, it allows us to shift those funds that we would have otherwise had to expense to operate to make those operations, expenditures. And by not having to do that, because now you can expense that and do through bond, it frees up M&O operations funds, and that free up of those dollars that were being used to do items that could be capitalized then allows you to have excess funds. Then over time you start to build back your fund balance. So it's not you're taking bond money and directly using it to build your fund balance is different, is not having to use operations funds for things that you could capitalize over a 30-year period. So it's a misunderstanding of what is being requested.
So the bond money is for capital items, and your suggestion would be to move capital items that we're spending in the M&O fund over to the bond.
Bond items are for things that can be capitalized over a period of time.
Some of my city council members will know, as a former auditor, I'm relieved to hear that answer.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually
the mayor is smiling.
Actually, there are actually rules and laws that prevent you from doing that.
Correct. That is
So-
correct. What's the biggest need of the district besides maybe more lights?
We've got a few, and I think part of it is increased security. I know I didn't get to tackle the question about items in the legislature. House Bill 3 was brought up where they want a armed security guard on every campus. Is that the best solution? No. Is a bunch of trustees up here who voted school safety is my priority voting no on putting a guard on every campus a good idea? Also maybe no. We need to make sure that we have adequate security for our campuses in whatever form that takes. Is a one-size-fits-all from the state going to work for every district? No. We're the best municipal school district because we're the only municipal school district. We're going to be different in different ways. I think one of the things we need to do is free up some of our roles that have multiple responsibilities. There was a grievance a couple of years ago that came before the board regarding the use of counselors as testing coordinators, because TEA explicitly states That's an inappropriate responsibility to assign to a school counselor. And the district voted to keep it as it was because we're a district of innovation. I think the district of innovation designation needs to be used for the benefit of our students, for growth, for new opportunities, things like our partnership with HCC and graduating students with associate's degrees before they even get their diplomas. I don't think it should be used as some kind of crutch to skirt the rules and skirt best practices just because it's convenient. I don't think our counselors should be forced to have to choose between taking care of situations like bullying and, oh, well, I mean, I'm hearing about this, you've got to put it off to the other counselor, even though this is one of my students, because I'm administering such and such test today. We've got to make sure that our students, our faculty, and our counselors, all of our staff members have the resources to do their jobs, and enough staff members across the board to make sure that every need is met. I also believe that we need to step up communication. In the last week, I've been hearing a lot of complaints about the district not proactively communicating. Parent Square is a huge step in the right direction, but maybe the timing needs to be improved, and we probably need to replace Gracie with a district communications coordinator to help speed up communication. Thank you.
All right. Joyce, same question. Your opinion, what is the biggest need, what's the district's biggest need? Got that out.
I would say for right now for Stafford MSD and talking to our stakeholders, talking to our parents and our teachers, having a more of a competitive compensation plan in order to compete with the surrounding districts. There's a lot of teachers wearing multiple hats, a lot of staff members wearing multiple hats. If we could make more incentives for them to let them know, hey, we see you, we hear you. I have a teacher who has all of her kids on reading above level, and something to let her know, say, hey, we see you, we hear you, some kind of incentive. I think that would be greatly appreciated and needed. Recruiting high quality personnel, not just, people that can just, make it to the interview, but some high quality personnel. And there's some campuses that need a few renovations and upgrades. So those are my 3 needs for the district.
Thank you, ma'am. Manuel, same question.
Well, I mean, I think, and I'm probably, benefit from that. I have more in-depth information than my candidates or the candidates up here. But I think that, our biggest need currently, I think it revolves around our financial, status. The COVID pandemic, it was an event that once in 100 years really impacted us, a lot of everyone. As I sit back and reflect on the things that we did and we could have done differently, we probably didn't course correct soon enough. And I can sit back now and have the benefit of hindsight. We didn't want to lose our momentum. We didn't want to lose teachers. We didn't want to cut programs. So we kept our spending rate as we were, because we didn't know how soon this would end. So now we know that it took a couple of years. We should have course corrected sooner, but we didn't know it at that time. So I can sit back and think about that and reflect on that and say, hey, given a similar circumstance, maybe you learn from that and adjust. But we're recovering from that. We need to build back our fund balance. We were fortunate enough to have had many trustees that were good stewards of our limited resources that built that up. That was great. That's why it's there. And so now we got to, intentionally build that back up, right? A lot of those things then start to correct the salaries and the retention. We need to have lower turnover in our teachers. It's tough. You do that through salaries. You do that through a lot of efforts, but that's all related to money, right? So that's part of that plan, and it doesn't happen overnight. There has to be a plan, and unfortunately, it's really easy for people that look from the outside to criticize and pick and choose certain things that are made. But the reality is there's a lot of information that goes into a lot of the decisions that are made. And at the state level, when these decisions are made, they do things that are, one size fits all. And the reality is all school districts are not one size fits all. So there's going to be some variation.
Well, let's talk about that, because you brought up the pandemic. What can be done, in your view, to close that educational gap that the year and a half problem? What are your ideas?
Well, I'll tell you that this may not be popular, but one of the things that I've discussed with my colleagues and I've thought about is if you put the pandemic aside, there is a natural learning loss that occurs every summer. Our schools were created when we were more of an agrarian society. Walt Disney exists because people get off 3 months during the summer. And so, we haven't adjusted, right? And so, I think that extending the year, a lot of private schools do that already, to where we don't have 3 months off during the year. That gives our teachers breaks in between. A lot of our faculty and our teachers get burnt out, and they're not at their best teaching our students. So having more breaks in between for education and development, plus just breaks to get everybody recharged, and still have some time during the summer. But until we start closing that gap, not just for COVID, but just the normal, and putting some resources into more days throughout the year, we're going to be dealing with the learning loss of COVID for many years to come. We already had that every year during summer.
Thank you. Joyce, same question. I can repeat it.
Yes.
It's been a while. What can be done to close the student knowledge gap caused by the pandemic?
I would say more intervention. More one-on-ones with the students. They have certain, the gauges, teachers gauge each kid. So the ones who have a larger gap than others, they can get more one-on-one time. Parent engagement, getting in contact with the parent and seeing what things they can do at home. Great communication with the teacher and parents so they can mimic the great things that our Stafford teachers are doing, because they're doing it. They're trying their hardest with wearing all the hats that they're doing. They're trying their hardest to get these kids on level. And so if they have a good communication with the parents and a good team, I think that gap can get smaller and smaller. Yes.
All right. Clint, how do we close that gap?
I would definitely agree that we need more intervention. And we're a small district. We have the ability to create customized plans. As already noted, no two students are alike. Some are going to have a small gap. Some are going to have a big gap. Some had great access to internet and could attend class every day. Others not so much, and they were kind of in and out as their connection or as their attention level allowed. It's very different when you have a spare room that you can go into and you're in a crowded dining room where 3 different kids are taking 3 different classes and on their headphones trying to pay attention. We need to customize the solution for each kid to the best that our resources allow. Like I mentioned earlier, Waco and Academy ISDs have demonstrated success with their programs. Let's look across the state, let's look across the nation at what has worked, and let's adapt and let's bring it here. As already noted, parent engagement is of paramount importance. When I first heard in 2021 that we were launching the Parent Engagement Committee, I was one of the first people to sign up, and everyone was looking at me like, why are you on the Parent Engagement Committee? You don't even have kids yet. Because that's the key to success at our schools. We have some very, very engaged parents. 2 of them are up here next to me. Several of them are out here in the room. Their kids are not the ones that are struggling. It's the ones where the parents are not as engaged, do not know what they need to do not have the tools to get where they need to be to help their kids get where they need to be. We need more resources like Parent University. We need more efforts like the Party on the Plaza year-round to help equip those parents for success so they can pass along what they've learned and what techniques we need to use to their kids.
All right, well, thank you. Clint, what question did I not ask you that you wanted to answer?
You know, it was the one that went straight to Manuel, where he touched on some of my answers anyway. Why should you care if you don't have kids in the district? And he touched on a lot of things. He touched on the fact that great schools build up communities, increase property values, make the community safer. There's one thing he didn't touch on. A great school could be one of the keys to getting a grocery store for Stafford. I work in banking all day. We deal with mortgages all the time. Mortgages are based on property value is based on location. And the prime driver of that location being a good value is a quality school district. Whether it's former Mayor Willis or current Mayor Matthew or Scarcella or Wen or whoever it was who went and talked to a grocery store, we don't meet the metrics. What are they not telling us? We don't fit what they're looking for because we don't have the property values, we don't have the spending levels, we don't have what those grocery stores are looking for. If we start building ourselves up to an A-level school district on every campus, people are going to be moving to Stafford. We're going to be filling up every one of those new multifamily properties, every apartment complex, every townhome complex, and that's going to drive up the population, that's going to drive up the affluency in the area. That's going to make places like H-E-B or Kroger or Fiesta want to look at us. Hey, what are they doing in Stafford? It shouldn't just be, oh, we're off 59 or we're off 90, that's a good location. They've got to have the population ready to support it, and that starts with our schools. If we have high-quality schools, people are going to want to move to Stafford, people are going to want to be here for years to come, and that's going to draw attractive businesses to our area, which is just going to further the improvement of Stafford and hopefully increase sales tax revenue as well, so the city doesn't have to deal with all the problems you're going to hear about during the next candidate round.
Don't tell them that yet. Joyce, get ahead. Joyce, what question, and I didn't have to ask it tonight, but what question were you looking for tonight that I did not ask you?
What are the biggest challenges that are facing the kids today, right now? And I would say it's the impact of the budget cuts. For example, as PTO president, we had to be creative in navigating how to help Early Childhood Center, ECC. I believe that at one time they did not have enough to fund a certain event, and we had to get together, our parents, my relationships with business owners, to create a way so these kids can have these experiences, being exposed to certain things that they would not be exposed to. So just being creative in navigating the budget cuts and how we can take what we've done at ECC to the whole district, and that's what I've been doing.
Thank you. And well, what question did I not ask that you want to answer?
You asked a lot. You didn't ask what my vision was for SMSD.
Correct.
And what I would say to that is, and it's just not my vision. I think it's the current board, as a whole, is our vision is to create, the premier learning environment that's going to educate the next generation of citizens, global citizens. And we're going to do that by creating top-notch, world-class facilities that people are attracted to. We're going to do it in partnership with our community, because that's how we were founded. We're going to do it in a safe environment, and we're going to do it in such a way that it's going to be something that's a proud achievement, and we can come back and continue to inspire others. I want to be able to, at the end of my tenure, to have the ability to at least inspire one person to want to come back and pay forward the wonderful things that they receive from our school district. It's real easy for individuals, anybody, to criticize and to point. It's a lot harder to participate and be engaged in finding solutions that are, proactive and that are beneficial. So that's the thing that I want, is I want to build that legacy for the future, and that was part of the 2030 Plus vision.
All right, thank you very much. Y'all are running for the board of Stafford Municipal School District. We've determined it's the best municipal school district in the state of Texas. Also the largest employer in the city. Probably definitely the largest restaurant chain in the city. Largest school bus fleet in the city. Give me your closing comments here. Why should the voters of Stafford vote for you? And you've got 2 minutes. Manuel?
Well,
I got 2 minutes. I got 2 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the Chamber for organizing this event. I think it's important for our community, our citizens, to be able to listen to this dialogue and discourse. So thank you to the citizens that took time out of your busy schedules and away from your family to be here this evening. And thanks to my family for allowing me over the last 9 years to be able to do this. This wouldn't happen without their support. I think as I reflect back on my tenure, I'm very cognizant and aware that a time will come when either I decide to call it quits, or each and every one of you decide that my tenure is going to be up. Should that be during this election, I will say that one of my greatest achievements has been to serve the community and SMSD. So I thank you for that opportunity. And I look forward to continuing that, but if not, I think it's been the greatest pleasure of my life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Joyce, why should someone vote for you?
I want to first thank the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for having this. Thank you, the wonderful city of Stafford, Stafford MSD. Thank you for everyone that came, the teachers, the principals, the community business partners, community leaders. Thank y'all for taking out the time, being here to hear us up here. So thank you. I'm vested in this district, not only because of the kids, but I'm vested in every child that I meet that runs up to me to say, hey, Miss Wilkins, I care about the kids that are in need. I care about the teachers that are in need. I want this seat right there to be your seat. A vote for me means that your voice will be heard. So vote for Joyce Wilkins. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've already thanked the Chamber, so I do want to thank all of the METV people in the back putting this on, all of you here, and everyone watching at home. We need a lot of different things in this district. We have come a long way over the last few years. We've emerged from the pandemic, but we're also dealing with some struggles, whether it's post-pandemic education gaps, or finances, or battles up at state. We need real plans. We need real expertise. We need people willing to get out there and fight for our students and for our district. And I'm that person for you. School safety is more than just preventing violence. We need to get ahead of bullying. We need to stop any drug use. We need to make sure that our nurses are equipped to stop, I'm getting dark again, to stop sickness outbreaks when they need to send kids home. We need to keep our kids safe in all elements. Our fiscal responsibility has to go beyond just a balanced budget. We've got to make sure that we're spending dollars responsibly and for maximum benefit before we ever come forward with a bond. The voters need to trust us when we come forward asking for money. When we're putting our Stafford students first, we need to do more than lament recapture or vouchers or anything of the sort. We need to proactively build relationships with local community organizations, businesses large and small, get the resources that our students need. The previous holder of position 1 was Dawn Reichling. Like I said, I wasn't planning on running against her. I was planning on endorsing her until I found that she wasn't going to run for re-election. Like I said, she stood for transparency. She stood for increased communication. She stood for making sure that accommodations were provided to special ed students when that was lacking. I intend to pick up the torch and continue what she was working on. When you head to the polls, please remember to vote Clint Mendonca for SMSD Board Trustee, Position 1. First name on the ballot.
Thank you very much. Clint Mendonca, Joyce Wilkins, Manuel Hinojosa. I want to thank you on behalf of the Chamber, on behalf of the Stafford community, for coming here tonight, talking about your thoughts, your dreams, and what you plan to do for the Stafford MSD School District. If we could give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back with City Council.
Early voting will begin Monday, April 22nd. Stafford City Hall is an early voting location. Monday, April 22nd through Friday, April 26th, polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday, April 27th, polls are open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday, April 29th and Tuesday, April 30th, you can vote 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. As you just watched, there are 2 positions open for SMSD Board of Trustees. Running for position 1 are Clint Mendonca and Joyce Wilkins. Position 2 has Janelle Kelly running against Manuel Hinojosa. Just ahead, you will meet the candidates for the 2 open positions on City Council. The candidates for position 1 are Alice Chin and Don Jones. Those running for position 2 are Virginia Rosas and Wynn Guerra. Also on the ballot will be 2 bond propositions for the Stafford Municipal School District. Prop A is asking for a $45 million bond to address deferred maintenance, security, and transportation needs. Prop B is asking for a $15 million bond to refresh district technology, including one-to-one devices and software. For more information, scan the QR code or go to stafford.org/meet-stafford/SMSD-bond-2024. You can watch the rebroadcast of this candidates forum in a variety of ways. It will be shown on Stafford METV and streaming on staffordtx.gov April 17th through May 4th at 9:30 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, April 20th and 21st, it will air at 7:30 p.m. The following Saturday and Sunday, April 27th and 28th, you can catch the rebroadcast at 7:30 p.m. It will also be available on the City of Stafford's YouTube page. Go to youtube.com/@City of Stafford or scan the QR code. Under Texas law, voters who possess one of the 7 acceptable forms of photo ID must present that ID at the polls when voting in person. The following acceptable forms of photo ID are Texas driver's license issued by the Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas handgun license issued by DPS, Texas personal identification card issued by DPS, Texas election identification certificate issued by DPS, United States military identification card containing the person's photograph, United States citizen certificate containing the person's photograph, United States passport, book or card. For more information on all Texas voting laws, visit votetexas.gov or scan the QR code.
Thank you for being here. At this time, I'd like to ask our candidates running for Stafford City Council to please join me on stage. We have Alice Chin, position 1, Don Jones, position 1, Virginia Rosas, position 2, and Wingara, position 2. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the format for today, as we heard earlier, is a 1-minute opening statement, a 2-minute for each timed question, and then a closing statement. Candidates will receive a reminder at 1 minute, at 30 seconds, at 10 seconds, and a reminder from our timekeeper to stop. We have an actual stop button. Now, what stop means is to stop talking. Just want to make it clear. Okay, very good. My dear friends, it's good to have you here. If you have questions to ask the candidates, please put them in that basket right there, or you can find Miss Juliet, who's around here somewhere. She's in the back. And she will get those questions to us. I said we were on Facebook Live. We're actually on YouTube Live. I don't know if it's a step up, a step down, or what, but there we are. So I guess we can still get likes and such. So we'll work that. I'm going to start off with Alice. And if you could give us your opening statement. 1 minute, please. 1 minute. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Stafford family. My name is Alice Chen. It's my great honor and the privilege to serve City Council for City of Stafford for the past 5 years. I have over 30 years in community service and a passion to serve the city. I have an MBA in finance. I'm a Texas CPA. I've put my experience to work on council as the chair of finance chair. Since 2019, I've worked with 3 mayors and prepared and balanced our budget each year. I've close watched our government expanding, find ways to increasing our revenue, and work with council to increasing fund balance from $875,000 in the year 2020 to $10.5 million in 2023. In this current budget, we're also increasing salary for our police and fire department to retain our first responder, and also have a public safety for our residents. I'm looking forward to answering your question tonight and winning your support to continue serve you and the city. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Don Jones, position 1.
This is Donald Jones. My wife simply called me Don, and that is what everyone here calls me. At this time in our city's history, I take this decision to run for this council member position very seriously. First and foremost, committing oneself to public service is a selfless job. It is at times a thankless job where one often is not recognized for the blood, sweat, and tears that a dedicated person puts into such a noble cause. It is a calling for one to have the ability to consistently gain a holistic understanding of the circumstance of others, and at times have the honorable humility in one's character to place others' circumstances before your own. Second, I've decided to run because the voters of Stafford deserve a choice. It is not a sign of a healthy community if you have a city council member run unopposed. I cannot stand by and not have ideas or want things to change without getting involved. So I stand before you today because I want you to have that choice. We need a local governing council that has the will to take on the challenge of moving the city of Stafford into the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Bro. I want to take my time initially to thank our SME TV station for broadcasting these forums to the people at home that aren't here in the live audience. I also want to thank the Stafford Municipal School District, the trustees for allowing us to use this facility for the first time. So it's very enjoyable and very relaxing in here. So thank you for leading us to this area. And for the Fort Bend Chamber, Chris Bro, who's our moderator, Jamie Losby, Kara Suggs, and Juliet Nesbitt. Thank you for organizing this and If you want to look at my credentials, go to my website, virginiaforstafford.com, and I'll use my last minute to give a little bit more information about myself. Thank you.
Win.
I'm Win Aguirre. I've been a part of this community since 1976. I've been a council member for 21 years. I was a P&Z member for 4 years, and I'm currently the president of the EDC. I'm here to run for my position again because of the news that was being conveyed to our citizens that we are financially in a bad way. I'm here to paddle, not drill holes in our city. I'm going to be doing my diligence to bring up our fund balances and protect basically our employees and our services. I have never voted for a budget for the last 10 years for that reason. It was inadequate. I want to get back in there to feed our children, or what I consider my children, the employees of this city, to give you the services you need. We need to also take care of our quality of life, drainage and streets.
Win, first question for you. What compelled you to run or rerun for city council?
I just said it. But anyway, I'll go over it again. I see the urgency. I ran on a platform with zero property tax. It has not changed. I did not run on a property tax and that we were financially sound and 4 months later to decide, oh, we're in trouble. No, we've been in trouble. I've seen it coming for the last 10 years. That's why I voted against the budget. We needed to do some diligent work on taking care of the business of funding the city. We're spending more than we're making. That's the bottom line. And at the end of the day, I want to create the economic reform, and it will be zero property tax, and the police and the fire will be taken care of.
Thank you, sir. Don, same question. What compelled you to run for city council again?
I do not know, but I am here because I'm a concerned citizen from my position. And when I was on city council, one of my last meetings, I literally called for this meeting. It was a special session. And I brought with me this blue folder. Everyone, you might recognize the blue folder. It had 5 ideas in it to generate more revenue in our city to take care of our financial needs. At that particular time, no one on city council, including Council Member Chen, voted for any of these ideas. Since I've been gone, less than a year later, I've learned that 2 out of 5 of these ideas have been adopted. So who was right and who was wrong? I don't recall if you voted for these measures. Did you vote for these 2 measures, the tax communications that is generating more revenue? I understand there's been an increase in the revenue that's been generated from one of these ideas. It's very concerning to me that concern has not gone away. That fire still burns. We must put our heads together. No one is talking about a property tax. That should not be the language that is used. What we need to do is come together collectively as a group and brainstorm ideas. The legacy of Leonard Scarcella is in jeopardy. Leonard Scarcella, if he was not anything else, his legacy included being innovative and doing things at a time that the Stafford community wanted. He established and was instrumental in establishing a school district in this city, and he also was well known for implementing a zero property tax. That was last century. We have to match that innovation and those ideas.
Virginia, what compelled you to run again for city council?
Thank you. I've been in, I guess you can call it politics from beginning in 2015 when I served the Stafford School District as a trustee. And then once my son had graduated, I felt that I had more to give to the entire city, so I ran for Stafford City Council. So during this time, I think I've shown the leadership and have acquired a lot of experience, and I have the commitment and the communication to relay to not only the community, but within our own group. And I think that one of the, I'll highlight two of the initiatives that I worked on for the quality of life is the rental registration program that gives the renters in the community a safe environment to live in, which they didn't have before. We also had the pushing the city to make our city a walkable community, because this was something that when I was out there, the generation or our seniors, they were telling me, I want a safe place to walk and not on the street. So that was one of the initiatives. We're almost complete with that. That's always going to be something that we strive for. But we do have problems with the stray animals, and council needs to commit to find an answer to this. And the never-ending, and we'll always have drainage and infrastructure because we don't have enough funds to deal with it all at one time. That is an initiative that we should and always keep on the front burner for our community and the quality of life.
Thank you, ma'am. Alice.
The reason why I run, I'll tell you a story about myself. I was a college student, received full scholarship, came to this country for my master's degree, realized my American dream. At that moment, I know I need to pay back to the community because this country gave so many opportunities to me and my family. I've been having, before I run this council, I've been volunteering for my community for more than 30 years as community service, including work for Congressman Green for 12 years. When I first elected as city council in 2019, I'm the first Asian American woman who was elected to serve this city. It's an honor to me. I'm here to remind you of what I have accomplished for the past 5 years, both as the city council and also citizen of Stafford. I have helped lead the city through tough financial time as a council for finance committee chair. I have support and raised money for our school district and our student because I want the student realize the American dream too. I have confidence in you, the voter. Please look at my record. Look at what I have done for the past 5 years and what I'm going to propose to do for this city. I have a strong vision. We can make Stafford to the next level. Please support me to continue my work for the city and for the people I love in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Let me pose this question to you. What are your thoughts on reinstating a property tax to address the city's financial obligations and infrastructure maintenance needs? And if not a property tax, what would be your idea?
Can you repeat the one more question? It's a long question.
Yeah,
it's a long question. Yes.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on reinstating a property tax to address the city's financial obligations and infrastructure maintenance needs? And my follow-up question to that is, if not a property tax, then what?
Okay. First, I will start with this. Last week, we all of us received an email from our CFO indicate we received the month of April, our sales tax revenue increasing 13.87%, which is almost 14%. That is a great news because our city is based on sales tax revenue. That's our lifeline. Stafford government have diligent to manage to provide city service to all of us with no property tax since 1995. The reason we can do that is because we are closely monitor our government spending, control our costs, and find ways to increasing more property tax. I'm proud to tell you, closely working with our city council members for the past 5 years, we increased our fund balance from $875,000 in 2020. That's $875,000 in year 2020 to $10.5 million in 2023. So however, we are a growing city. We need more servers being required for our resident and business, especially the talk about drainage and the flooding issue in infrastructure issue. That's right, it is. It is true. And actually, our public org director give us a 5-year estimate how much going to fix all these problems around the city. Fix the road, fix the flooding. Do you know the answer is $78 million? But we're not going to get $78 million within short time. It takes planning to do. It takes planning because we need to think about which area we need to do first, set priority, and then find a way with our council, with our mayor, to solve this issue. I think we can do it.
Thank you, ma'am. Virginia, I'm going to throw that question to you. What are your thoughts on reinstating a property tax to address the city's financial obligations and infrastructure maintenance needs? And I'll cut off that last part. We'll get to that question later, okay, about what the alternatives are. How about that?
Well, if anyone wants to give me their time, I'll gladly take it, because I've not hidden any, it's no secret how I feel about this. We do not have the money. Last year, the city had to borrow from our fund balance $2.6 million. That's going to happen again this upcoming year. And that was to, we decided that human resource was important to the city. So in order to maintain or retain the police department and fire department and make it competitive with the other cities, we needed to give them a higher raise. So the monies we have, we are spending more than what we're making, regardless of what it says. The $875,000, yes, that's true, but when Mayor Willis was in office, he put a fund balance policy in place, and it forced us to save this money. If we didn't have this 10.5, we weren't going to balance the budget. So fortunately, we have it. But what the council has been discussing and had discussed this past session was doing a public safety tax. And you can call it a fee, you can play games with the name, but a tax, a fee, it's all the same thing. So we're looking into that. Council is going to be reviewing that on Wednesday's meeting. We had all our departments give us a 5-year capital plan, and we're going to keep looking at it and review it and see if that's the way to go, because we have the little revenues that they're talking about is not anywhere near what we need to get the city going. We have $1 million for infrastructure, for drainage and streets. It's impossible for 7 square miles. So I'm going to be supportive of it, and we'll see what council decides on Wednesday.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Don, same question. You want me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay. What are your thoughts on reinstating a property tax to address the city's financial obligations and infrastructure maintenance needs?
I think that any idea is a good idea when it comes to generating tax revenue. I've been in Stafford long enough. I came to this city in 1988 and purchased my first home. There was a property tax in Stafford at that time. The zero property tax did not come online until nearly 8 years later. So I have that experience of what I consider investing in your community by paying my share of property tax. You have to understand, I would think we would want to take a look at how we utilized that revenue when we did have it. If we're talking these days about the fact that we do not have enough revenue generated, I want to thank Councilmember Rosa for her position on this now, because I think she understands that it's not so much about what is happening today. Alice, is $870,000 enough? Or is that what you're saying? Do you think that is enough? It is not enough. It is woefully short, as Councilmember Rosa just stated. So we have to not fear what we need to do. We need to put our minds together and come up with the solutions to the problem. You cannot talk about a drainage program or drainage control program or retaining critical staff. You just cannot do it with today's. In 1996, there were only maybe 10,000 people in Stafford. There are 18,000 people here. Does that mean that the city services are being still covering that, able to cover that population? I beg to differ. I do not believe that we have kept pace with the growth of this city. So how in the world can we stay there?
When?
Same question?
Yes, sir, same question.
Well, we can do this without a property tax. Look at how many warehouses, industrial, commercial, and manufacturing companies we have. And rental properties. 65% of the houses in your neighborhood are rental. Well, what you do, you create an emergency management fee that is put on that part of the income of this city. They don't pay any taxes, but they have the Freeport exemption. They don't pay taxes on that, and they use your resources. So put a manager, let's say hypothetically $25 million, it stays there. Then you utilize the funding of that money that's not going to be moved to pay for your police and fire. That will cover a lot of our public right-of-ways that are not being taken care of, and the streets and the drainage. Then you have income there that's going to raise the funding of your rainy day fund and your fund balance. You keep doing that, then you could get to the point where then you can put an umbrella bond that's going to be covered by those fees that are not being used, so that way you can have those good-looking streets and the drainage that this city needs. And it's not going to be with a tax. Infrastructure is something that you have to work at no matter what you do, continuously. So with that said, yes, you can do this city without a property tax. Put it on the weight of our industrial, commercial, and retail, and manufacturing. Let them pay for your police and fire. They're using it. Something happens over there, guess what? We have an event.
All right, thank you, Wynn. Let's see, I get a comment from the audience here. Let's address comments to the audience, not call out opponents. We can continue with that. Virginia, I'm going to hit you right here with this question. What strategies would you employ to improve financial transparency?
Oh, I'll answer that right now, but I want to respond to some of the answers of what you said we could do. So, emergency management fee, tax, it's interchangeable, it's the same thing. His own specialist, his own subject matter specialist in accounting met with our CFO. Okay.
Safety tax in just a bit.
Okay.
So let's just answer this question. And
it cannot happen the way he proposes.
We're answering questions,
Okay.
not calling out opponents.
So would you
All right.
please?
Yes, ma'am. So let me ask a question. What strategies would you employ to improve financial transparency?
We already have state and federal laws that we have to, as you well know, do accounting, the check and balances of our accounting methods. It's already written into law, and we follow the law. Now, and as far as communications to the community, that's something that we can always, unfortunately, not everybody's on the internet. And we find it easy to access information that way. Some of our seniors don't have that. So communication is one of the key for our community to know what the city council is doing, because we just ran into that a month ago with an issue that came up. But as far as the financial, we already have laws in place by state and federal that and local that requires to do the accounting.
Probably don't understand that I've stood at the podium in front of you for I think a complete professional year over the life of me. So I think we're pretty open on we can communicate back and forth and call each other out. So I think that's good. Y'all can call me out, I can call you out. Leave everyone else alone here. Don, I'm going to throw to you now that same question. What strategies would you employ to improve financial transparency with the city of Stafford? What can we do better?
Well, I hate to extend the council member's response, but communication is the key. I do not believe that the constituents at large have any idea what the city council is thinking. A vision has not been cast in this city by this current city council. And it's almost like it's an underground operation. It's like what they do at City Hall is not being communicated to the people. And so I think it's going to be imperative that we come up with a way that we talk directly not only to the residents, but also the business leaders. I mean, when we start talking about coming up with ideas to generate revenue, people need to be informed. They need to know exactly where we are and why we're even talking about revenue issues. I don't think they have the details. I don't think that a message has been communicated to them clearly to let them know the actual status of where our city actually is on most of everything. I personally, with experience being on council for 7 years, know that a lot of decisions are made behind closed doors. We must do a better job of communicating, especially with our businesses, who take up an incredible amount of real estate in this city. They need to understand that what we are proposing is for the betterment and the improvement of the quality of life in this city. Who would be against that if people are shown up front what is needed and also explain to what we do not have? People just don't know. So communication is going to be the key.
Okay. Wynn, what would you do to improve financial transparency in the city of
I'll go back
Stafford?
to what I was saying. I don't know if how many in the audience or in people watching, 1 penny in Stafford generates $391,000. 1 penny. We are property rich. With that 1 penny, look at this. When you're looking at the taxes overall for this city, it's 55 cents evaluation. So what you do, you move the police and the fire off the budget and put it on the shoulders of the people that are using our city and making money. Then that money stays in the budget, but understand that a fee and a tax can be tax deductible and a fee isn't. But if the industrial areas and all that start moaning and groaning, oh, your fee, hey, I'm sorry, I gotta run my city. You gotta be protected. At the end of the day, they're not gonna move out of this city because we are gonna pay only 1/4 of 55 cents. If they go anywhere else, they're gonna pay property tax. You understand? You don't have to pay a property tax. Put the weight of the people that are taking the lifeblood of this city and not giving anything to our city. We have 0 property tax. And I want to hold that. I ran it like that for 21 years. I've never wavered.
Alice, the question is, what strategies would you employ to improve financial transparency?
Before I say that, I want to confirm one more time the number I gave you earlier. $875,000 fund balance is the audit fund balance in 2020. $10.5 million is audit fund balance in 2023. I want people to know that. And a few weeks ago, our CFO gave us a current fund balance is $12.5 million. That's an unrestricted fund balance at this time. Okay, go back to transparency. I think our city did an excellent job to showing whatever happened in the city council. The reason is like every meeting, we have an SMA TV, tape every meeting from when we start a meeting to the end of meeting. You can watch any video for any meeting on our Stafford website. And also we have a board minutes, meeting minutes. You can ask in open record to showing everything we talk about in the city council meeting. So to me, we did a good job as a city to showing everything we do as city council. There's no closed meeting. We don't have nothing to hide. Everything we're gonna tell the citizen. If you wanna know more, come to the city council meeting every two weeks on Wednesday night, 6:30. But I think our Stafford City doing an excellent job to showing everything we do in the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Don, I'm going to hit you up next here with this specific question. What has the city done right in the last 2 years?
Well, I was on city council, and I could certainly take all the credit for everything that went right. I think that one of the main things that is happening behind the scenes again, I think that the directors of the program have been given a voice where it was mentioned that they came up with a five-year plan. And that took collaboration between the mayor and those directors of those departments. And I think that gives them an opportunity to really inform the mayor and the council of what is really needed in this city. And I that is one of the main things. You know, not being on council now, I'm a little bit detached from, but before I become, not answer clearly, we always, understanding that we have a municipal school district, a one-of-a-kind school district in this city. I think that the working together has strengthened over the years, every year, with the current leadership that we have in the school district right now, and there is so much to be proud of. We're not just the STEM program in Stafford Municipal School District. There are so many components and so many areas that should be emphasized as being outstanding. So that relationship will be one that I will always recognize. Thank you.
What has the city done right in the last year?
First of all, the utilization of our EDC money. We've utilized the EDC money to take care of some of the major arteries. And unfortunately, our residential are not quite too far like our industrial areas. And at the same time, we're utilizing that money to invest in our city, but at the same time, our residential keeps falling behind because you cannot use EDC money to take care of the residential district. We're also using that money to take care of the now present project on Pike Road. We have a huge development coming in, and we are participating. We were hoping on a four-way split, but Missouri City can't afford participation. But to take care of that street and goes from a 2-lane egress, regress, blacktop road to a 4-lane with what they call a suicide lane in the middle of concrete from Stafford Road to Gessner. The development will be monitored. Hopefully we'll have an engineer that will be in charge of that, but that's some of the good things we're doing. Other things we're doing is now we're looking to see to generate more income on Highway 90. I'm not gonna, I'll have to say it. And it's gonna be difficult because at this juncture, I'm the only one that's dealing with the developers. Hopefully we'll get this city on its feet where we can hire our economic development coordinator or director, public works. And hopefully it'll all pan out where we can bring in more income. And again, that will reflect some of the areas that we are going to take care of as far as beautification, but also the level of income will deplete a little bit of the fees that I would protest to say we need to put on industrial areas.
Thank you. Alice, what can the city improve on?
The city can improve on revitalization of our some property is still empty, and also some unused land. Also our prime location, Island. My vision for our city, hopefully one day we can revitalization our city on Murphy Road, Island, and also South Main. Because we are in such a prime location. Think about this. Everybody, every morning go to work in downtown. They're gonna go 69, passing our Stafford. Murphy Road right now already overhauled. And also, we already complete the Cash Road, extend to South Kirkwood is already finished. And plus Trinity Road already go to the grids. So, and also we have so many big business come to our Stafford. For instance, you know Costco Business Center is already here. Kelsey Siebel have clinics for our city. The latest one is Super Target. I was told Super Target actually have a grocery department, so it's going to provide more service to our residents. Also, our school, the St. Magnet School. A few weeks ago, we know Houston Chronicle rated our St. Magnet Elementary School top 3 rating in Houston, top 7 in Texas. I want to thank you, Dr. Bossi, and also the president of school trustee, Emmanuel Jose, is here, and also school trustee, teacher, parents, make our Stafford have a great school, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
Virginia, what can Stafford do better?
Stafford can do better with resources to deal with commit to dealing with our stray cat and dog issues. Throughout the city, the community has loudly expressed that, so that's one thing that we can do better is commit to finding a resolution for that. We can do better with drainage and infrastructure. We're crumbling, but we don't have the finance to take care of it right now. We can do better with understanding that we are here for the people. They're the ones that put us in here. And they're the ones that guide us as to what they want the city to do. And again, it goes back to resources. Our hands are pretty tied as far as that is, but what we can do better is have a marketing plan that will show or get a developer in here that will have a buy-in to Stafford and give us some unique ideas and exclusive ideas for development that it's going to attract the people to come to us. Whether it's, having, because we have the attraction of all the restaurants, but nothing to keep the people here after they eat. So that we can do better on that aspect. But we can do better by fully staffing our employees, all the departments. Our police department is lacking. We just don't have the funds for full staffing. Our fire department fortunately has, but the equipment, our public works, they need staffing as well and the equipment, so that we can do better. But again, at the end of the day, we need resources.
Okay, all right, thank you, ma'am. Alice, I'm going to start with you, and this is everyone, so listen to this. You'll pretend I'm an Aggie, all right? The question is, would you support a public safety tax? If you could, in your own words, explain what that concept is, whether you're for it or against it, what the public safety tax is, in as few words as possible, and then would you support it?
Can I just go through detail about why we need that first?
We'll take 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Current budget, police department chiefs here. It's $9.3 million for current budget. Fire department current budget is $5.4 million. So this year, the current budget for fire and police is $4.7 million. We're increasing the salary for police and fire. Police 15%, fire 22%. So current budget for our police and fire is $14.7 million. For the next year, our estimate is just estimate number. Police will be increasing to $12 million. And then fire will increasing $8 million. So there's a $20 million. And $20 million actually is a big amount for our general fund. So we are looking at the solution right now to see how we're gonna make these things. Maybe we can move police and fire out of general fund. So they can release $20 million. We can use general fund for other issue like drainage or flooding or all these. So this is a way we will do a very thorough research, find out a solution. I don't want this resident get financial burden because like asking for property tax is an easy way out. But our resident need to tell us, is this a very important issue? And we need to educate and communication to the community, to the resident, to the commercial property owner to see if this is what you want. Resident is the one voting us to work for them. So I think we need to spend some time. We need a plan. We need a plan before we move on any action. Thank you.
You say you would support a public safety tax?
And not at this time.
Okay, all right. Don, I'm going to move to you. Can you explain what a public safety tax is?
Well,
and do you support it?
Well, this is new terminology. And again, all ideas need to be carefully considered. If we have a goal and we are casting a vision that we have defined and explained to everyone that there is a need for new revenue in this city. We must begin there. Secondly, if someone comes up with this idea, which they have, it's a public safety tax, correct? Safety is one of the most critical attributes in a community. Feeling safe in your community, and I've expressed this about our police department, our fire department. Like I said, I've lived in this city for a long, long time, and I've always felt safe. And I think that is what everyone that lives in this city wants to feel. So when you define that and explain it as far as the need is concerned, and then you say that there is a deficit here and there's a need for us to generate new revenue, a public safety tax obviously is something we must consider. So if you're asking me if I support that, and we're talking about for fire, maybe it's the beginning of what I've been proposing for the past 3 years. We must come up with new ideas. We must collectively come together and support one another, because it's going to be us as ambassadors to communicate these ideas to the people, to reassure them that their tax money is being used properly and effectively to improve the quality of their life. It has to be known. It cannot be done in, this term, when it came up, when I heard it, I was relieved to hear it. I was glad to hear it. I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Now we go to Virginia next. Not sure if I heard a definition in there.
A definition?
Of public safety tax.
A definition of public safety tax, I would think you define that by saying a tax that is implemented to address the needs, for the current needs and the current budget, and with also an emphasis placed on the future.
Is it? I'm going to turn it over to Virginia. I keep pointing to people and I apologize. My wife says, stop, use your hands. So I'll just sit on them here. Virginia, are we talking, is this a property tax for public safety?
Yes.
Okay, so
semantics.
Thank you.
It's semantics. And this is the important thing about leadership. I was told, stay quiet, it's an election year, you don't want to ruffle any feathers, don't. But I am putting the city of Stafford before my election because I care about this city. I don't want it to go into bankruptcy. We're in very dire situation. These little shell games that I'm hearing, that's what it is. It's a shell game. The property tax, what that does is a fee or a tax, and we're going to use the way it's being developed is all the exemptions will be given to the seniors, whether it's homestead, 65 or over, disabled. They're going to get the maximum amount of reduction for that. Now, and it's going to be used solely for the police and fire. Every last penny is going to be used, and we have an amazing CFO Alka Shaw that is going to ensure that that happens. But what it is the quality of life, and we want the safety. The monies that they now have can be transferred over to Public Works and our IT. We're using our computers that are outdated. Their lifespan has been gone a long time ago. So it's just transferring some of that money to be used for drainage and infrastructure and public work. So it is a tax. I am for it. I feel that we need to ensure that our community stays safe, that we have a highly trained fire and police department, because unfortunately we're surrounded by big Harris County and that threat level spills over into our city. So being prepared and having the best of equipment and training for our officers and our fire department, I'm for it.
Okay, all right, thank you. Wynn, what is the public safety tax, and are you for it?
I am, let me make this very perfectly clear. I'm not against any tax on the citizens of Stafford. If we can just put a fee on the areas that I mentioned, you're looking at 55 cents evaluation, and I see 5 families in this crowd that would be affected. Think about it. If we do my plan, it'll be a fee that would be implemented, and it would only be for those areas, and it would be $13.75, not 55. Then you can take that money that we were using on public safety and leave it in the account of our fund balance and rainy day fund and moving the city forward. With that, we're going to start working and making a little more money from the things that are coming in. We've already had a couple of businesses come in, and I expect more. At the same time, think about it. Do you want to pay 55, or do you want to pay 0 and let the people that come to this city and use your facilities, your police and the fire, let them pay $13.75? And that's rough math that I've got right in my head. Because at the end of the day, I don't have a made up here. I'm a businessman. I'm a capitalist. And I care for my families. And I have extended families here. I don't want you to be having to pay more taxes. You already see what the evaluation of your house went up. They said they cut school taxes, but your evaluation went up and your taxes went up. Now we have another dilemma here. I'm not going to go into that. But we can put a fee on the people that come here and use your city. And that will take care of the police and the fire. Then the money is being left on the budget, takes care of the drainage, streets, infrastructure, and other things, maybe some more employees that we need. Thank you.
Okay, Wynn, clarification, how is this fee assessed?
I don't want a city.
How is the fee assessed?
No kind of tax, 0.
I'm sorry, how is the fee assessed? How are you getting that $13 from, who
I'm looking
pays
at
it?
55 cents of the value that they're putting on the city. 55, right, as a property tax. And I get that fee, and I expect, because the highest portion of any city is your public safety. Then if you put an evaluation on those buildings, $13.75, that'll take care of that. Again, 1 penny generates $391,000. I'm not going to put nothing on our citizens, period.
Okay, so it's the property value on
I'm against the property tax.
the property tax on
For
businesses.
the safety.
Okay, all right. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Virginia, I'm going to go to you for this question, not the last question. I see you. How do you plan to track sales tax generating businesses to Stafford?
Track sales. We have our Economic Development Corporation gets the report from the Comptroller's Office that council isn't privy to. It's just information that was given to us during council meetings when, as asked for. So that's the only way that I can see that we can track it legally, because I guess there's strict laws as to what can be looked into by citizens or even council members. So I would leave that to our extremely qualified CFO to give us the information of how we're tracking it. And she does gives us weekly and monthly reports to track some of the sales, whether it's hotel or different kind of retail, the alcohol sales, franchise fees, that type of. So that's the tracking that we have, is consistently getting the information from our CFO.
Okay, all right, thank
Thank you.
Don, how would you track sales tax generating businesses to this city?
You know, that's a very good question, because I live in the northwest quarter part of the city where the fountains and the grid, all of that is in that area. And I drive through there frequently. And when you notice, since we are a sales tax generating revenue city, and we depend on that as our main source of tax revenue, when I see Bed Bath & Beyond go away, Fuddruckers go away, Chair King go away, Otto's Barbecue go away, Brewings go away, in my mind as a former city councilman in this city that has zero property tax, I'm thinking, how is that being tracked, and what does it mean? Certainly the community has not been informed. They can see it though. And if they know that we have a zero property tax and we depend on that sales tax revenue, we would be concerned. So the tracking of that is vital to know, but still I think communicating that information is important too, and who it's important to. I'm hearing the city council is not privy to that. It seems like something that everyone should be privy to. So there may be a confidentiality clause that legally doesn't allow that, but it is information in a zero property, within a zero property entity that is vital to know. You'd have a better understanding of how this city is running and how we're paying the bills. So that is very concerning to me. That is a confidential matter. But tracking sales tax revenue and knowing the progress. There's been one of the things I wish I would have expounded on. The grid was a major program that came. The grid was an economic development project that came online when I began here, and that's been one of our greatest accomplishments.
Thank you very much. And just for clarification, I'm not an attorney, don't play one on TV, but the sales tax records are confidential. Disclosing those involves jail time. So let's not encourage that.
Yeah.
Alice, I'm going to go with you on this. How do you plan to attract sales tax generating businesses?
First, because our city depends heavily on sales tax, so we need to have economic development and focus on retail business. Retail business is going to bring more sales tax. How are we going to do that? Promote our city. Tell the people, our city have no property tax. We have a good school. Look at the stand. Look at our school rating. We have Houston Community College. All the students attending our Stafford school can get 60 credit and get associate degree before they graduate from high school. What other city offers this HEC benefit for our Stafford student? We are business friendly. We open for business. We have a great, like I mentioned, super talkers coming. There's more coming to our city. And also, most important, we are a diverse community. That means we all come from different culture, different background, but in our city, we work together. One goal, make our city a better city. Also, we have a good public safety in our city. We have a wonderful, excellent police chief and fire chief that lead their team, working day in and day out to protect our citizens. That's a good thing for our city. Another thing I like to see is we need to make our city look clean and beautiful. And we actually have to invite more young family come to our city, because when you have a young family come, they bring their family, they're going to shop here, and then they're going to create more sales tax. Another thing I like to say, emphasize, shop local. I need all the residents to help us shop local. If you want to buy something, buy from our own Stafford business. We're going to make sure our Stafford business survive. We're going to make sure we promote our existing business. When government want to do purchase anything from our Stafford business, all together it's like we're going to bring more retail, we're going to generate more tax, and also promote our city. And also we need to have a full-time business director to promote our city and get business to our city. Thank you.
Well, Alice, I'll stick with you here then. A neighborhood drainage committee proposal was previously rejected. How would you facilitate resident participation in planning and addressing drainage issues across the city while ensuring efficient decision making?
I think this should be have a resident working with our department, city employee, and also council and the mayor. We need to have a town hall meeting. Go to our citizen. Tell us your area. I know Joe Longoria has been talking to us for many, many years. And that I will look into this. When we have the planning, we should listen to all the residents from different community. I live in Grove West. Be honest with you, I never see any flooding in my subdivision for all these years. So I want every subdivision just like Grove West. Sometimes we have some flooding, but after the heavy rain, we have a good system in Grove West. Somehow, I don't see any flooding in our subdivision. I want to have every subdivision just like my subdivision. So we want to make sure we keep our property, the residents feel safe. So like I say, we need to have a community town hall meeting, listen to everybody from our city and tell us what area we need to work on. And also with our property director and city council in the same meeting, we need to work this list together, set a priority, and allocate funding, and have a timeline to complete that. That's my solution.
Okay, town hall meeting. All right, thank you very much. Don, the same questions, let me repeat it. How would you facilitate resident participation in planning and addressing drainage issues while ensuring some efficient decision-making skills?
While I was on council, one of the things that happened, one of the major changes was that there was a redrawing of the lines that gave us a second precinct commissioner. So I took it upon myself as a council member to welcome that commissioner to our neighborhood. And I started to inform him of the needs of Stafford. And in that meeting, we were able to, and I was able to put my finger directly on one of the things that we need in this city is a quality drainage system. I don't think there's a neighborhood in the state of Texas, and certainly as we get closer to the Gulf of Mexico, that doesn't have that same concern. You just have to have a proactive plan in place that's going to address these needs. Unfortunately, these are major needs that require revenue to support them. And every neighborhood should have the same drainage system that Grove West has as far as curb and gutters are concerned. And so it should be a goal. It should be a goal of this city, never mind other cities, that everyone has that same standard in their neighborhoods. And it should have been prioritized and planned 30 years ago. Now all of a sudden we want to do things, but you cannot do these things with the current budget economic model that we use. We have to reinvent ourselves. If we know that the problem is that we have drainage issues in some neighborhoods and we don't have drainage issues in others, I mean, it's incumbent upon us as council members to come up with the solution and not pretend that it's not there. We can't keep pacifying the constituents and saying, oh, maybe we need to. We can't stand up here and say we need it. We have to do it.
Okay. Thank you. Virginia, how would you facilitate resident participation in planning and addressing drainage issues?
Thank you.
And I gotta tell you, the lights are on a timer, school's out, and so every now, so you up there gotta do, there you go, see? That's the way that, you talk with your hands and
There
lights
you
go on.
go.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we're being too still up here, we need some dancing or something, I don't know.
Yes.
I'm playing, sorry, go ahead.
As I said earlier during one of the questions, drainage is always going to be in the forefront. It's always on the front burner. If anybody knows about the land, it is sinking. So areas that we've not had problems before, now we're having problems. Now, we depend a lot on our public works director, but the areas that are of concern right now, we know about it. And you asked about the committee. I don't like expanding government when there's not a need. And I know that there was a call for citizen involvement, but on our agenda, the second meeting of every month, it's drainage. So any community member can come in, and after the report's done, they can give us, their problems. We know President Street floods. We know Mr. Longoria Street, still has a few issues. We know that Crestmont Village, the water comes up to their ankles, because that was of the development and that's gone in through Missouri City. We know Sugar Creek has spots that are also, so it's constantly shifting and we're aware of it, but we need to have a plan. This is the first time in the history that I'm aware of that we have a 5-year capital plan, and that we need to really focus on it and know what our solutions are. We know what the problems are, we just need to come to the solution, and mostly the solution is the lack of funds. And that's where, we start trying to develop methods of trying to fix these areas, because if we don't, it's going to continually increase, and our streets are drained. So it's having, again, and I totally agree with Councilwoman Chen, is town hall, which we were planning to do anyway with this public safety tax, is go out to the community, talk to them, and I'm sure we'll hear more than just that.
I'm sure you will. Same question to you. How would you facilitate resident participation in the drainage issues?
Well, first of all, let me go back because I've been around a little while. We've had participation, but it falls on deaf ears. We need proactive, reactive, all of the above. At the end of the day, I would recommend, if I were to be the next candidate to get in, and I'm not saying that I am, I would implement a discussion on having a quarterly town meeting where the citizens can tell us what they need. I'm one of the few, I'm not saying anything else, but I'm responsible for what I've done. Where I go where those problem areas are, and I'll call that citizen, hey, I'm outside, I'm seeing what your ditch looks like. I know where it's flowing. And those are in several other neighborhoods. There's neighborhoods here 2 days after the rain stopped that's curb to curb water. There's some that are come to the crest of their front door. And I don't know how many meetings we had with one particular neighborhood that was totally engulfed with water because poor maintenance. We don't have a storm maintenance plan right now. That would be another one. But you got to listen to the citizens and make sure they know that you're doing your job. If you spend 50% of your time here in this school, you're not doing your job. You get elected for the people, for the city. It's great that you participate in the school, but at the bottom line, you got chosen to take care of the city and the city's needs. Participation of the citizens, a quarterly meeting where it's noted with an open-end agenda where you can go and tell them what your problems are.
Thank you, sir. Let's talk a little bit about governance, all right, on city council. Wynn, I'm going to start with you on this. Describe your approach to fostering a collaborative and productive environment within city council, knowing that you're not going to agree with everyone. How do you get past that divide of different council members? How do you form that collaborative group to get things done?
Collaboration? Come on now. This is city government, but no, it can be done. At the end of the day, you got to put your differences aside when you're up there. And the challenging of worrying about procedures, the challenging of the worthiness of committees, it's not being what you're out there for. You're there to solve problems and be reactive to what is being brought to you by the citizens. And one of the biggest things that you can not forget is our public safety. You know, I hear it all the time. Well, I heard gunshots. Well, where'd they come from? Call the police. They're spinning in our neighborhoods. The cars think they're in Fast and Furious. We need more police, and the only way you're going to do it is with more income. And at this juncture of the game, we don't have that ability. We just gave them a big raise. How are you going to pay for that raise that's coming budget? It's going to be by a fee, because then you don't have to put it to the voters. That's another one. You don't have to put it on the ballot. A fee is implemented. You get a town hall meeting, you tell them this is what it's going to cost to run the city. You either participate, but this is what it is. Unless you want a property tax of 55. That's up to you. You know, 55 or 13.50. Thank you.
Okay. Virginia, talk to me about your method for how you would foster a collaborative approach with city council. How do you get there?
Well, first you have to have the commitment to do it. We're all serving for the same purpose. Some of us might have a little different interest in the animal, the humane committee, or so all we have varying degrees, but in the sum, we all represent the citizens. We all represent the community. So I think it's the demeanor of the office, and we respect it, and we respectfully can disagree with each other. Because if we all agreed, we just need one person sitting up there. But that's how we do process. You know, I can try to explain the situation and why this is important, whether it's for redevelopment or revitalization, and I just try to using the sense of the community is relying on us to make the right decisions. And through that, I think that it's in the I don't think, maybe we've had a 7-0 vote a couple of times, but we all have varying degrees of how we place importance. But I think communication with each other and knowing each other and their personalities come into big play, because you deal with personalities that are a little different. So I think if you bring the group together as that, and I would love to have a team building effort or workshop. That's one thing we haven't done, and I think that's really vital, because we don't really know each other other than being there. We might see each other in community events, but really getting down and knowing and understanding why we think this way. I think a team building workshop would be instrumental to get a tighter knit group.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Don, what's your approach to collaboration as it relates to city council?
Well, it begins with respect. I think that all of the hard decisions that have to be made, we must respect one another. So opinions, we can disagree, and we can get to the point where we agree to disagree. But everybody is elected to be in office. And being an elected official means that your boss is those people who you were elected by. Not forgetting who put you in office is very, very important, because you're working for the people, and they should have expectations for us to work together, and that should be a standard, that the mayor leads by example, and let it be known that it's very important to us as a group, that our group dynamic is that we conduct ourselves civilly and make sure we understand that we are role models in this community. But working for our constituents and knowing that if we get into our positions and we start talking about what I did and this, that, and the other, you have forgotten that you work for the people. And so the team building idea, I'm a former school principal, so getting teachers to work together on every grade level was always a challenge. But I was pretty good at that. And getting and being humble and everybody knowing what the mission is and knowing what the purpose and objective and what our goals are. And everybody doesn't exactly have to be on the same page, but they must be committed to the idea that they're a city council member in the city of Stafford.
Alice, talk to us about your approach to collaboration on city council.
Sir. As a city council member, all of us have responsible for all aspects of governance of this city. So achieve good things for our city is our responsibility. Every one of us have one common goal. How are we going to do better? How are we going to work together for the city of Stafford? Betterment of our residents. So I think the most important things is listen. Listen to your colleague. Listen to your fellow council members. Ask them what they think about this issue, and let's discuss the difference. And you can tell them what you think about this issue, but just think about this. We all have the same common goal. So I think if we can put down our own judgment or our own opinion, listen to your fellow council members. Try to think, what can we do? What can we do to achieve the great thing for the city and for the resident? I think sometimes we can get things together. We can get 7-0 vote on the agenda, on the item. Like I say, every time I vote for the city council agenda, I always think about how can I make great things for the city? And the vote is so important. Every vote is important, but we need to have our colleagues work together as a same team, one goal, one mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I didn't do this earlier, and I should have done it. I absolutely forgot to do it. I apologize to everyone out here. Okay, show of hands, who loves the city of Stafford? Okay, all right. Yeah. No, ma'am. Next question, who loves the citizens of Stafford? Show of hands. Okay, is that a bigger hand? Come on now, okay, very good. All right, who loves the police? Okay, Wynn, you kind of, who loves the fire department?
Oh, yes.
All right, who loves the employees? Okay, all right, good. I just want to make sure we got all that, and we're all on there, so we're not questioning that. We got that. Okay, here's something. Huh, what?
We agree about some things.
You agree about something. See, that's good. Well, all right, no, that leads me to my next question. Wynn, share one good, positive contribution by your opponent, what your opponent has made to our city.
Beg your pardon?
You have to say something nice in front of my face.
Say something nice about Virginia. Give me one good, positive contribution she's made to this city.
Let me see. If everybody goes out this parking lot and look at the press box on that stadium, I put it together. At no charge of my ability to do that.
Did you hear the question?
Yeah.
My question is, I want you to say something nice about your opponent. Tell me one
what
good,
she's
positive
done?
thing. Yeah, you can tell me later about
I
what
got a
you
little
did.
confused here.
Okay, I'm going to answer it again. Share one good, positive contribution your opponent has made to our city.
That, as far as I know, she brought something for the pets, dog food and things like that. I don't know what else she's done. She's brought some ordinances we can't take care of, but the most positive thing was the humane part of the city. That's it.
All right. Alice, tell me one positive thing Don has done for the city.
Something good about him, right? Or something good about what he did?
Either way.
Either way. Okay, something about him.
Well, you sure something he did.
Okay, Don, you're good looking. and you dress so well. So
give me something he did. We knew that.
So is that not? It's not counting?
That's not counting. No. Tell me something good he's done for the city. Y'all have served together. You've all served together for a number of years. Tell me something Don has done good for this city.
He's an educator, so he always tell us what happened to the school. And he say, if I can manage school, I can manage the city. So I think that's a good thing about Don.
Okay.
Is that okay? Wonderful.
Very good. Virginia, let me read this because so I don't know if y'all can hear me down there. So, share one good, positive contribution your opponent has made to our city.
I can say that he really cares about the drainage in the community. He does drive the city. He does go when the rains are coming to see what areas are flooding or what's okay. So he does pay attention to the quality of life and for the citizens, and that's just one of the things right off the bat. But he does look out for the infrastructure because he's on the road a lot with his company, and he has the ability to go to different places that we generally wouldn't go, so he's a little bit more astute as to some of the other areas that we're not quite as versed in, so I will say that.
Thank you, ma'am. That's very gracious. Don, give us one good or positive contribution your opponent has made to our city.
Well, there are several things. When we come together as a collective body, we all come from different backgrounds, and we're not shy about, letting people know what our backgrounds are. Mrs. Chin's background, one thing that I really, well, even before I say what I was about to say, I really admire her family. I think they're a very fine family. I've only met one daughter, briefly, but Alice and Dr. Chin are very fine people, first and foremost. Secondly, Alice is a strong-willed individual who has good ideas. Her background includes having an understanding of business administration and also finance. So bringing that to the council has been very important. The city found itself almost in peril one year where the late Leonard Scarcella became ill and was not able to perform his duty. And it was right around the time that we had the city budget that was needed. Alice volunteered herself to get in there and roll up her sleeves and do what was necessary to lend her skills, and I thought that was very admirable.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you.
No, I know you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah, you should have known I felt that way.
Yes, I said you're good looking, remember?
Don't say that.
Okay, people. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's, Alice, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to run down the, I may ping pong. I don't know what I'm going to do here, actually. What strategies do you propose to ensure the safety and security of Stafford?
Very important. We need to have well-trained and compensate first responders. I've been talking about police and fire department. All these people, fire chief, police chief, they work so hard for our city, and their team works so hard. Imagine they wear the blue jacket every day, go out the street. They have a lot of risks for their job. I remember when I talked to one of the officer's wife, and that just touched my heart. He said, Alice, my husband is a police officer, but every morning I say goodbye to him. I want to see him to come home safely. Our police and fire do such a good job for our city, and we really need to think about how we support police and fire department to do with the equipment they need, with the people they need, with funding they need, with compensation they need to do their job. Public safety is my number one priority for my residents. So I'm support public safety and support our police and fire department Of course, I'm supporting our city staffer, all the employees. We have 251 full-time staffer working every day, the city staff. So I want to take this opportunity to thank all the city employees. Thank you for your service for us to provide the good service to our citizens and make sure our city is doing such a great job. Make sure our citizens have a quality life, and we're going to work together, make Stafford strong. Thank you.
Okay. Virginia, the same question. What strategies do you propose to ensure the safety and security of Stafford?
Thank you. One of the things that we have done right is that we have an extremely qualified police chief and fire chief. They look out for their men. They look out for their training to make sure that they're at meet all the levels. The threats always change, whether it's school shootings or parking lots or movie theaters. They train for this, and they train very well. As I said earlier, we can't put a bubble around ourselves, so our community is surrounded by a lot of crime, and it spills over into our city. But with the reaction, with our telecommunication operators being on spot, knowing the transmissions that need to be out to not only protect the safety of the officers making the scene, but the citizens around where the incident may go. So the reactionary, and we need to just keep investing on the training, the equipment that will keep them on top of their fields. And I know that our police chief is constantly, if you see the fire trucks pulled out and the ladders up, City Council appropriated some money that they could train here instead of going to Richmond to do that. So that was a great investment because now they can do it on a more regular basis. So just the investment for those two agencies, but it's one package. Everything interlinks with one another. We have the secretaries in the background. We have the telecommunication officers. We have the city. So it's really one big family that we are. And we respect because we have the buy-in from all of our employees to make this city a great city to live, work, and play.
Thank you, ma'am. Gwen, what's your strategy? What's your strategy to ensure safety and security for Stafford?
What was the last word you said?
Stafford.
Stafford, does that sound right?
Yes.
Well, first of all, again, the priority is public safety. You have to equip them, train them, and have ample room for growth in the department with money. We're a small department, so we're very limited on how many officers we can get. But at the same time, we need more visibility in the neighborhoods, and they're limited with the officers they have. We do see them, but at the same time, we need to bring that up. And the only way you do it is with income. It goes back to my theory, 55 cents or 13 cents. What do you want? And at the end of the day, zero property tax and take care of that for you.
All right, thank you, sir. Don?
I think what's very important is that you listen to your departments and the leaders in those departments. With my understanding that there has been a short-term, I'll just say a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan developed, whatever it is, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, I'm not quite clear on that. If you're going to have your departments complete such a task and really roll their sleeves up and workshop it and come up with tangible results, you can't just take that information and just set it on a shelf somewhere and not do anything about it. That will cause a serious problem with any department. So what's very important, if you've opened up these lines of communications with these departments, is that the feedback that you get, you actually take it and you do something with it. If you do not do that, you are going to have a problem. And it's going to have to do with morale in the ranks. Our fire and our police departments are the largest departments. Sometimes they get more attention than they even want. They would not like to, but we have a very vociferous chief, police chief, and a fire chief that always makes sure that the mayor is informed on what is going on in the departments. So, to reciprocate from the mayor's office, from the city council, it's going to be important. I'm pointing to myself as when and I still on city council, but it is important for the council to hear their and allow the opportunity for those departments to give you the information you need to make the departments better. Who better would know? It's like myself being a former school principal. There's no such thing as a good principal. You're only going to be as good as your teachers are. So therefore, the same principle lies is with the mayor's office.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for that. I'm going to, we're running out of time here, so I'm going to start on that end right there and let you do your closing statements. And your closing statements, you get 2 minutes. I'll get you 2 minutes.
I'm going to be less redundant, but everybody in the room knows what I stand here for. I stand here to no property tax. And the way we're going to do this is by putting a fee on those people that come to your city and use your city's resources. And at the end of the day, that will enable us to give you the resources out of our budget to take care of the flooding, the streets, infrastructure, even some security cameras. Because as president of the EDC, we've deployed some of the cameras, but they have to be in commercial areas. We need to have more tools for our police department to fight crime, and that would be security cameras in some of the neighborhoods, eventually all of them. When you're looking at $300,000 per camera, I think that would be the way to, help our police and fire for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bro, thank you again and the chamber for moderating tonight. We really appreciate you being here with us. We're in new times, folks. What we had in 1995 has sunsetted. We have, and it's no one's fault. We just evolved. We've grown. Our business bases have grown. We have more need for services. The inflation rate has risen, and it's just a matter of what we enjoyed for those 28 years. It's coming to an end, and we have to come up with a solution now, not a year from now, because now we're borrowing from our fund balance, and you can only maintain that for a certain time. So we need to consider revitalization, redevelopment, try to get these developers that have some kind of unique business model that can attract people to us, that will have them come out and shop, work, do just recreational. So I think that I am not the type, I'm ready for a challenge. I was told not to say property tax or any kind of tax, but the city comes first in my life. Well, my husband and my family come first. But it's very important that we address the issue. I will not lie to you to get your vote. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm an open book. You can call me anytime and I'll explain to it. Don't play the shell game. What has been spoken of earlier, the attorneys have indicated that you can't charge one business. You have to charge the whole city, just not one. They've reiterated that several times. If it's a drainage tax, everybody gets a drainage tax. If it's a facility, everybody gets it. So don't fall for that shell game. We need to really consider the property tax, public safety property tax, to keep our police fully funded and our quality of life remains at a great place.
Thank you. Don.
In closure, I also want to thank the League of Women Voters, the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce, and the Stafford Municipal School District, METV, Mr. Bro for his awesome bow ties, and as an excellent debate moderator. Again, being a city councilman is a continuum of my humble professional career as a lifelong public servant. With that said, I take this action to reiterate my stance on the fundamental goals that I pledge to commit to all that is relevant to the betterment of the city of Stafford. As a former educator, Fort Bend is growing and moving rapidly ahead as a bristling community, while Stafford is not. The hard truth is Stafford is falling further and further behind in maintaining the city and its services. When you are out and about in the city, look around. Look around and see how well maintained it is. Look at the green spaces. Look at the lines on the street. Notice things. Pay attention. I challenge everyone in Stafford to do that. We must do so by establishing ambitious and realistic 21st century ideas and/or goals that take on a transparent and financially responsible approach to manage our shining little city by the railroad tracks future, which boldly serves as the front gateway to the entirety of our county.
Thank you, sir. Alice.
I want to thank you, Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Burrow. Thank you for hosting this forum tonight. I want to thank you, all of you here, and also people watching online. Thank you for taking your time to understand all the candidates here tonight. My grandfather was a mayor in Taiwan, and he taught me when I was a young girl that serving others and contribute to the community should be my lifetime goal. This lead to his work have a huge impact on me and lead me to a life of public servant. In addition to my council work, I work hard to try to get a $250,000 scholarship for our Stafford student. During the pandemic, I worked with Congressman Al Green to host food drive for all our residents, provide vaccine drive for our city, for our students, and also distribution 50,000 face masks for our residents and all the school students. I also currently serve Juneteenth Committee Vice Chair. Last night, we have a big meeting, try to organize this year Juneteenth celebration. We're gonna provide a wonderful program for all of you. So I want everybody join the Juneteenth celebration on June the 16th, 2 o'clock at Stafford Center. I love this city and people and also everybody here. I want to dedicate myself, make Stafford a better place for everyone. I want to continue my work to serve you and City of Stafford. Work together can make Stafford strong. Please support Alice Chen to be your council member number one on the ballot. And thank you for your time to listen to all of us tonight to give you our mission to serve the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As the Government Affairs, what's my title? Director, thank you, Community Director of the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to thank you for being here tonight. I'd like to thank our audience. I'd like to thank our folks on LinkedIn, YouTube Live. I'm not getting that endorsement. But if I take just a moment of personal privilege, I'd like to thank each of you who I've worked with in the past. I thank you for being here. I thank you for putting your hat in the ring. I thank you for running to make Stafford a better place. And let's give them a round of applause. Thank you and good night.